Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with a track guide for the daily race C that is on at Suzuka in Group 3 this week. So the best car to pick for this track in terms of getting yourself as far up in the qualifying order as possible is probably the Audi R8. Extremely fast car around this track. Very tricky to drive on the limit, but very enjoyable once you start getting used to the way this car handles. I really do enjoy this car. Obviously when tyre wear is added in, this car does become a little less competitive, but when the grip is there, this car is one of the best cars in terms of feeling and the grip through the corners, and the way you can carry speed through the corners as well with the rotation on the car. So a really fun car to drive. I jumped on yesterday, did a lap. I think it was an okay lap. There was about another 3-4 I think I could have gone about 3-4 attempts faster than what I'd done on this lap, but I just wanted to get this lap done. And then we streamed obviously last night some daily race C action. We had a really good night on that. Got some good results, and then I was going to release this today. So this is going to be going through some of your braking points, some of the inputs of the steering wheel, etc., and just some of the lines that you need to take, and just generally tips for getting the most out of this Audi R8. Obviously I've not driven it a massive amount, but whenever I have driven this car, like Nürburgring not too long ago, I find it really enjoyable to drive. You can just carry so much speed through the corners. It's got really good acceleration as well, so it can compete in terms of straight line speed. It's just like the only issue really with this car is the tyre wear, and that's why you're probably not going to use this in the race situation. It probably can do an okay job even in the race, because it's not extreme, the tyre wear. You're on hard tyres with ×9. However, the Porsche is probably the best bet for the race. So let's get into this track guide. As usual, we've got the slipper cam and the steering wheel camera there, so you can actually see the action and see the inputs that I'm putting in. So going into turn 1, you're going to be braking just before the 50 board on the left hand side. So you start looking out for the 150, then the 100. You see the 150, 200 there, 150, then 100, and then slow it down now. And we're braking just before that 50 board. You can see the braking inputs going there. We're going to trail brake all the way through these corners. You're going to see the braking going all the way through, and you want to make sure you're getting as close to this curb on the right hand side. You can see the red line that we're going to try and follow through, extending wide at this point, and then trying to cut back now and get as close to the apex of this curb now on the right hand side. You can see there acceleration input going into about 50% at this point, and then we're going to slowly increase that until we feel comfortable to put maximum throttle in. An early upshift into third gear there, just to be careful on that curb. We didn't want to be using maximum revs. It can spin you out very easily. So down now into this next left hand corner, we're just going to lift off the throttle. You see a little lift off the throttle, and then back on the throttle again, then another little lift with a tiny bit of brake input going in through that corner there. That's just to rotate the car and get the weight back to the front end. And staying in third gear, definitely better to stay in third gear for this car. Going down second gear can unsettle the rear and start making it slide quite a lot, but you can see now we've done that quite well. Into third gear and trying to hug this inside again. You really got to try and widen the lines into the corners. You see hugging that inside, and now again on this right hand corner, a little bit of braking input again just to get the weight to the front end and rotate the car. And watch how I hug the curb. If you try and stay as close as possible to this curb, the car will bite in and really grip to that right hand side, and you really need to do that. Early upshift into third gear, and again for this left hand corner you're gonna have to do a little safety lift. I was very cautious on my safety lift there. You see off the throttle then back on, and again I did another little lift mid corner. I could have probably got away with keeping it on a little bit more than that, but we carried good speed through the corner and actually did it reasonably well. We could have just probably carried a tiny bit more. Now for the two right-handers, this is where the Audi R8 is very strong. Down into third gear just before the 50 board there, you can see braking inputs going in down into third gear, and you're aiming to cut some of this corner. You can see you're aiming to get that right hand tyre over that green bit of Astro on that right hand side, and then accelerate an upshift into fourth gear as you're going through the corner. It just helps with the acceleration out the corner. Then back down through the gears down into second gear. You see the braking inputs going in there, and again you've got to try and get onto that right bit of the Astro on the right hand side there, just on your right hand tyre, to enable you to be able to get on the throttle. I slightly missed it. You can see it makes me run a little bit wide, but I carried very good speed still through the corner and actually went through that section on a nice time. Then into the braking zone, braking just as you're straightening the car up there. You can see the braking inputs going in now just after the curb ends on the right hand side. Down into first gear, and I actually turned in too early here. What you're going to see now is look at the steering input I'm having to put in because I've turned in too early, and this is going to be a bit hazardous when you're putting the power back on. So I'm going to lose a bit of time to my ghost that I was quite a bit ahead of at this point. You can see that little bit of oversteer kicks in. I put the ghost on because I could see that it had caught up, and you can see it in the mirror there. Lost a little bit of time there. You really want to be turning in a little bit later so that you can progressively put that power on and really accelerate out that corner at a nice rate. Now into the next braking zone, using the grey bit of tarmac on the right hand side. I always use that braking just before that tarmac. I use that for reference for so many different cars. You either brake after or before or on it, and with this Audi R8 just before it. And try and get your left hand tyre to skim this curb on the left hand side, and be very cautious on the throttle for here. You don't want to be too aggressive. You can see a little lift before I put maximum throttle back on, and then a little bit of braking input going in again here. Again, it's to put the weight onto the front tyres to get the rotation through this corner and keep the car gripping on the front end all the way through that corner, and then hard on the throttle, early upshift into third gear, accelerating all the way out the corner and up now into the 130R. Extremely hard corner. You know, you've got to take this flat out, near enough flat out. A little lift, you'll see now in fifth gear. We're going to just back off the throttle slightly just as we go past the 50 board, chucking it in. Little lift off the throttle. You can see I'm on about 40% throttle there, trying to hit the left hand tyre on the curb. Could have took this a little bit faster. You could see I probably could have carried about one. I think the Ghost caught me up again there, and then braking just in between the 150 and the 100 board, a little bit closer to the 100 board probably, down into second gear and turning in. And again, you've got to try and cut this corner as much as possible, and you see how the line goes through the corner there. Both parts of this chicane you're going to cut, so over the curb there, and then again on the left hand tyre over this curb. Just be cautious on the throttle. You'll see how I don't put maximum throttle when I'm on that curb, because if I do, it's going to spin the rear and rotate the rear, and you're going to lose so much time. And then maintain the right hand side of the track to the finishing line for the shortest line possible, and over the line on a 1 minute 58.7. so not a bad lap. Like I say, there was potential. I think our potential before that lap was a 58.5, so with that lap added on, I think it went down to a 58.4 or 3, so there is definitely potential to go quite a bit faster, which I felt I could have done. There was a few mistakes on that lap, but like I say, the R8 is a very tricky car to get the perfect lap in. The more I drive this car though, the more I like it. It really does. The handling really suits myself. It's just a tyre wear with this car that obviously you can't really use it too much. If you raise, like the Porsche 911 will destroy it on tyre wear, but I think over the first few laps this R8 should be faster really over the first few laps. It's such an enjoyable car to drive. I'm quite surprised how good it has become, this car now. It can just carry so much speed. You can see it through this corner. You can upshift into fourth and you're getting back up to 115 miles per hour. With the Porsche, you're only hitting about 111, 112, I noticed. So it's just that couple of miles per hour extra through the corners that you can carry. This corner, you're going to see now how I turned in a little bit too early, and you can see how much rotation I'm having to put in. You'll see the rear go a little bit looser, and I had to correct it. That's where I lost maybe a half a tenth to a tenth. Through the corner, and then accelerating all the way up into the spoon corner. So there was errors on the laps. This corner we did reasonably well though. You're going to see braking pretty much spot on, hitting the apex nicely, onto the throttle, using the full width of the track, down into second gear, hooking the corner up perfectly there, and then on the throttle nice and early. So I could have done that slightly better, but at the end of the day I think that was quite nicely done. This next corner, the 130R, is where again maybe lost half a tenth, because I was a little bit nervous because I could see I was ahead of the Ghost. So you see through the corner, maybe could have kept on the throttle a little bit more, but you know, it would have been risking it. Down into second gear, and again you'll see now how much we cut the corners now with this. You can see just cutting it, maybe all four wheels over the white line very slightly there, but only a tiny amount, and then keeping to the right hand side over the finishing line for a 158.7. Now what I'm going to do now is let you watch that lap at full speed without any slowdowns. I'm going to leave you to watch that, and then we'll leave you with the outro with all the channel members and stuff. Thanks again for watching, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Make sure you click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and we will be streaming obviously as much as possible along with videos. Thanks again for watching, everyone.